Welcome back to the Bounce Stadium Rants flagship NBA program. I am Kev, and with me, as always, is James. James, how you doing?
I'm good, Kev. I am good. How about yourself, buddy?
I am living the dream. I have something to show you folks at home. Now, don't worry, this is still a G-rated show, but I wanted to showcase. Let's do a little guessing game. Who's on my shirt there, James? Do you notice this guy?
I have no idea who that is.
That is
Who is
Jason Williams. This is his.
Oh,
I have his
oh,
rookie card printed on a T-shirt
yeah.
for you
There we
folks at
go.
home. Yeah.
Failed that trivia question. Failed
Sorry, I
that.
set you up to fail that one. I forgot to talk about that pre-show. But see, we
Yeah, he did
we
not
care
warn me
about
on
you
that.
folks. Yeah, we wanted to have some authenticity here. But no, one of the perks of working at a T-shirt shop is I have a bunch of random NBA stuff.
Random, yeah, just weird, random NBA T-shirts and throwbacks and all kinds of stuff.
And we're going to start us off before we dive into the week. Speaking of weird and random and NBA, and maybe the word throw was in there too, right before we got on. And this is thanks to Highlight Heaven, Alex on Twitter. Go ahead and follow him. Check out this steal from Curry. This is how the Warriors took the lead at the half, by the way. Not a problem.
They have not relinquished that lead yet, Kevin. They are still up going into the fourth right now. They are up 7 going into the fourth. They're on the road. They don't win on the road, Kev. They don't win on the road.
I was excited to talk about it because they did it earlier this week in a less exciting or less
5
impressive
and 17
fashion.
on the road.
This is
fun, Kev. This is fun. 3 players for the Warriors all have 22 points. Curry, Thompson, Jordan Poole. They all have 22 points.
and not wild. Draymond Green, who will be a topic for discussion later. He has 4 points, but that's all right.
Wicks has 15. Oh, Jaylen Brown's having a bad game. He's got 4.
I was just about to ask which of the 2 big Boston guys is not scoring, because that's got to be the only issue.
Tatum's 21 on 18 shots, so he's not great either. They're struggling, man.
Wow.
Horford 14, Robert Williams 13, Marcus Smart 15, Jaylen Brown 4, Brogdon 11. Not great for him right now.
You think are they seeing a ghost right now? Is that what's going on?
They could be. The Warriors are 14 of 35 from downtown, 40%. Only missed 1 free throw, 43% from the field. And then the Celtics are 8 of 30 from downtown. It's not good for them. Not good for them.
That is brutal. And then what I meant by that, folks, for those of you who didn't quite pick it up, is this is a rematch, of the NBA Finals, and maybe just Boston is. And they've been beaten up on everybody else other than what was that weird? Who was it? Was it Charlotte? No, it was Oklahoma City. That was the weird one. Ever since everybody but Oklahoma City they can beat until today. So
won 7 in a row. Yeah, this is
since Oklahoma City. Am I right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So I'm pulling it up. They've extended their lead in the West. They're up 4 games in the West. Yes,
East,
they lost back to in the East. Yeah, they've lost back to back to OKC and Denver, and then have won 7 straight.
Okay, so they had one more after, and then they came back. So I don't know. This one, obviously, Curry, looking like he's doing well enough with that injured shoulder.
Yep.
So that's those who question the Warriors might jump the gun on that. Might have been a little hasty.
No, I'm right here. I questioned them. Point at me. Point the finger right at me.
Oh my goodness. And before we dive into the other scores and the highlights from the week, let me just take a minute to thank you for tuning in and remind you that you can join the show. We want to have you on. Please leave us a comment below. We'll answer your question. If you say something we like, we will pop it up on the screen for the world to see. And you can, of course, interact with us before the show on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are on the screen. And let's get into let's just check in. There's one game that's been completed. So before we look into the highlights and all the crazy, and I do mean it. I mean that word when I say the word crazy this week, folks. Before we look at all the crazy stuff, the Bulls and the Pistons played in my motherland.
Yes, they had the early afternoon game. Played in Paris, Paris today. Parlez-vous français?
Hey,
that's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's not
all I got. I got one. That's it.
My ancestors are ashamed, but I am still proud. So 126 to 108. Sorry.
They probably going to say the same thing. They pulled that win off today over there. I guess they still got a cult following. Did you see this? Like the Bulls still have a cult following over there because of Michael Jordan, the Dream Team back in the day.
That
Like
makes perfect sense
when
to
they were,
me. Yeah.
there were so many autographs stuff getting signed, and they haven't been good since then. You know?
Yeah. So, and that makes sense. I think it's fun to talk about that for a minute because
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that Michael Jordan is credited for is the globalization of the
Yeah.
sport.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, there are multiple things that help attribute to that, not the least of which being the dream team.
Mm-hmm.
But we have things
That
like he
early
was,
'90s Dream Team was big.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
the whole world saw it and it was must see TV.
Yep.
And, but on top of that, we have Space Jam, major motion picture. We
Mm-hmm.
have global brands like McDonald's. And I mean, Nike, not at the time, right? But by the time it hit the mid to late 90s, then Jordan Brand, the stuff he was doing with his shoes,
Yep.
so
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
he exposed the game of basketball to a lot of people in the world that hadn't otherwise had a reason
Yeah.
to watch it as much, because football, or soccer as we like to put it, is the dominant sport, much like
Mm-hmm.
American football is for us here. Like
Yes.
it's the king sport. Foot or basketball was always kind of the little brother, and so Michael Jordan got a lot of people to watch. So I'm not surprised to see. I went to Greece in April, and only Bucks fans, right? Because they had a reason to be Bucks
Mm-hmm.
fans. But other than that, I could imagine there's a ton of Bulls fans in Europe, just like there are a ton of Broncos fans and Cowboys fans in the Midwest, because it was just a wasteland in the 90s here. So a lot of children just rooted
Yep.
for what was popular,
Yep.
what they could see on NBC. So yeah, it's interesting to see that. And the Bulls DeRozan, what, 26 points, but Bogdanovich, who I didn't make our list, but now might be a good time to talk about him since he wasn't on the list. I saw some Bogdanovich trade rumors pop up, James.
Really?
I gotta say, as much as I really like him for this team, but he is a movable asset, and they have such a bright future.
Yeah.
What would you, if you're Detroit, would you? And I put him on the spot, guys. I don't have contract numbers or anything, but what are your thoughts on a Bogdanovich move? Because I think there are
Man,
a couple
I've
of
just
teams could really use him.
I just pulled up his stats, averaging 21 a game. What's he shooting? He's probably shooting really good from three. Let's see, 40, almost 42%. Man, shooting 21%. He's got 20 points per game, 42% from three, 48, 42, 85. I absolutely would trade him. I don't know what you can get for him, knowing that they're trying to tank. It's Tankapalooza for the Pistons right now. They're my pick to get last. Where are they floating around? They are currently second to last. See, they got to get rid of him. Winning too many games with him. 12 games, that's too many wins. He can absolutely help. He absolutely can help a contending team, though. He played on those Utah teams that were good. Pacers back in the day when they were pretty solid. Like, he can help it. He's averaging a career high 21 points a game. That's wild.
Yeah, and then so to add a little clarity, what they want is reportedly an unprotected first in return for him.
Boy.
So according to
Man.
James L. Edwards III of The Atlantic, it's a little bit of both. They're not eager to trade Bojan, but the price remains high. And then so it honestly kind of sounds like they don't want to be sellers, but they know that they have assets in there. So that leads me to believe that they still have a couple of years left on his contract. So
yeah, when you put it this way, Kev, if you trade Bogdanovich, you get this much closer to Wemby, to a possibility at Wemby.
I know.
It's worth it, right?
Yeah, I think so. And it was a 2-year extension. Sorry, took me a minute. I found his contract extension
left
in October. So it would be 1 year after this. So yeah, he signed.
Was he traded to them, or did he sign with them?
I don't recall that
specifically.
I believe he was under. So he was traded because his current he signed a 4-year, $73 million contract with the Jazz on July 19th? No, that wouldn't work. So he might have signed. Either way, he signed a 2-year extension on October 30th of this year. So he is under contract.
He was okay. So he was traded to him, though. That is right. So he signed an extension with them, and he was okay. They got him. They got Kelly Olynyk, Saban Lee, and cash considerations back. Okay, he was traded.
Thank you. Right, and so they have him under contract till through the 24-25 season. So that does put us. That's actually So that's 2 years beyond this one. Yeah, absolutely. So you're right. My apologies.
What do you think? Like, if you're the Lakers, is he worth one of those picks of theirs?
That was the name that I saw.
Guaranteed for 2 years. He gives them shooting. They don't have any shooting at all.
To be honest with you, I think it was a Lakers blog that might have written about Bogdanovich's asking price.
41.5% from three on 6 attempts a game.
Well,
that's pretty good, man.
That's exactly what they need. And we think about, we're going to talk at length here when we get to our trade rumor segment, and it will be a huge part of the program for the next 2 weeks. February 9th is a trade deadline. Mark it on your calendar, because I might actually even get see if I can't get approval to do an emergency bounce if we have to do a trade
emergency bounce.
Special.
Oh, baby.
If it's anything like previous deadlines have been. But you look at, so I'll bury the lead a little bit. You look at Jakob Poetl is there. The Spurs are going to ask for 2 firsts from him, which is a little much if you ask me, but depending on the situation, depending on the team, because not all first round picks are created equal. So a first round pick, I don't know. It depends on if it's a contending team. It's not a good first.
If you're the Pistons, wouldn't you, in your opinion, do you think you would take the Lakers unprotected, knowing that where they sit currently, like, it's a pretty solid pick, and they might make the playoffs if you give them Bogdanovich, but still a chance they don't.
Well, and I believe theirs would be far out.
2027,
27, right? I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong. It's 27 and 29 are the ones that they have available. So
so it's 4 years away still.
You'd feel confident, and that especially if I'm the Pistons front office, I'm drooling, because that could put you in a 2003, 2004 situation, to foreshadow another topic for later, where, if you recall, that team was a playoff team, one of the best teams in the NBA, and they had a top 5 pick, which unfortunately went to Darko Milicic, or maybe fortunately,
we'd
all be living in a Pistons world. But unfortunately for Carmelo Anthony's sake, they did not draft him. And so they could be in another situation. You go back to the 80s, the Celtics had this fortune too, where they ended up with you got a championship quality team that gets a top 5 pick and reload immediately. So I would definitely consider that if I'm the Pistons, because I think, as good as they're going to be, if they get Wemby, ridiculous.
It changes your trajectory. It's
Cunningham, Ivy, Wemby, like, the back half of this decade could be theirs, whether they have Bogdanovich or not. So you can also, when you have that kind of talent, you can get a lesser version of Bogdanovich on a veteran minimum buyout at midseason. Unless you're run by Rob Pelinka, you can fill shooters around your squad in the NBA. Most teams are able to do that. So when you have 3 stars like that, I gotta imagine it's worth it to build it. But
that's it. Just so interesting. If I'm the Lakers, what's the point of holding that pick so much? They're an attractive free agent destination all the time. They're the Lakers. They're big market LA. They're going to be able to get players. I wonder what the holdup is on that. Now, I don't have any. I know, I get it, but players want to sign there. Players want to play there.
Absolutely. It is a destination franchise, and it is interesting because I did see an article come out that has stated Jeannie Buss is not thrilled, is not really entertaining the idea of trading. She does not want to move future assets for the current window, which is a nice way of saying she doesn't want to trade those 2 draft picks to get another title this year, or to maybe see through it even to another level. She doesn't believe that any move she can make will win this team a championship. Therefore, it is not worth making those moves. That's my interpretation of paraphrasing there. But
I mean, he puts them into the playoffs. What's their ceiling then become with a healthy Anthony Davis, him, and LeBron? Second round, maybe.
Yeah, well, you said that key word. If they're all healthy, sky's the limit.
Yeah, and who knows?
But
You don't know, Anthony. You don't know, man.
You just can't bet on that. And I don't know what to make. Russ has been playing a lot better, and we will dive into the end of that Sixers game. And he's still doing some crazy stuff. You know what?
We're gonna doing some crazy
while
things.
this is a great time for this highlight. So I'm not even gonna. Let's just show it. What is this?
No context. I don't know. I don't know the context of it. I sent it to you today, and I just started laughing. I was like, "What is this?"
He's doing some insane things. Now you could see on our thumbnail. I normally have it here that I can pull up, but we could see at the end of that Sixers game, he was clearly fouled by Embiid. There should have that play from the angle that the broadcast has looked like one of the worst, like, Russ, what are you doing moments of all time.
Yeah, it's
so good. See the hand on the arm, and you're like, okay, I feel a little better about it now, but you can't rule out the fact that you just don't know what Russ is going to do with this team. Like, he has those moments, and one could argue, with 13 seconds left, if you go back to that Sixers game, I guess we're just doing it now. Sorry, guys. And break that tape back. LeBron doesn't ever come to get the ball. It was all Russ. It was only ever going to be Russ for 13 seconds, final shot. And that shouldn't be the case ever anymore. And they need more guys that can knock down shots. So unless they're finding a way to move off Russ, which, again, I don't, who's that angel investor who happens to have young talent, also wants to pay Russ Westbrook full price because he doesn't want to take a buyout, and is willing to play him knowing that he might win some games and take them out of tank range. Yeah, win some games by accident because he wants triple doubles and refuses to quit. I was a little sarcastic. Yes, he wants to win. But yeah, he won't tank for you. That's basically what I'm getting at. Regardless, even if he knows he can't win, he'll still try to stuff that stat sheet and play as hard as he can. I don't know who that is.
Who?
Charlotte.
I don't. Oh God.
So I just made the most dysfunctional
last time I checked,
franchise in the NBA.
Charlotte's the best team in the NBA. I saw them live, and I don't know what you're talking about. They are the best team in the NBA.
Oh, they are. You know who might be the best team in the NBA? We might as well just get this over to now so that my broken heart can just heal. Memphis is making a run.
Oh my God, man.
Oh.
So, fun fact, I was at that game. Also, fun fact.
It's your fault.
I was texting somebody when it happened. I just heard the place just go, just start screaming. And I'm like, I missed something really cool. I was like, somebody, the person sitting next to me, you see that? And I was like, I did not.
Could have had a bounce exclusive angle there. That's funny.
They are fun to watch, dude. To anybody that watches, if you can see Memphis, man, they're fun. They're so good. Desmond Bane's good. Ja's electric. They've got young dudes that play hard. They're on an 11-game winning streak right now.
It has been phenomenal. Yeah.
Which includes the Steven Adams game winner last night.
Clip. Oh, I don't have the Steven Adams game winner pulled up, but I can pull it up on the Twitter feed.
Layup. It gets booped in.
It is.
They're 11-game winning streak. They've got an 11-game winning streak. The Nugs are on an 8-game winning streak. The West is starting to pull away. Those two teams are pulling away in the West. It's definitely those two right now.
You've got, is it Pelicans and Kings still behind them right now?
The Kings have moved all the way up to 3rd. They're on a 5-game winning streak. And yes, the Pelicans are still holding on to that 4th spot. There is a gap. Then there's a gap after that. So the Pelicans got 19 losses. Then the next after that is the Mavericks with 22 losses. So even the top 4 are separating just a little bit, with the top 2 even farther.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Mavericks. We'll be talking about them, I think, with Luka maybe finally being a little public about some personnel decisions. But I will not be one to not give Steven Adams his shine, because I think I even have an efficiency chart I can share later. But here we go. I found him.
There we go.
Here's our tip in clutch game winner. Let's go.
Then Dylan Brooks blocks the shot on the other end. That's what he's there for. Offensive rebound, and just set mega screens that send people into a black hole and they never come back.
Exactly. He's get the
he just sets those
screens and the rebounds. Yes.
He never come back for them, man. But man, Kev, they're fun. They're very, very fun to watch in person. They're very fun.
They're a lot of fun to watch, and I think they're legitimate now. For my money right now, it's still Denver. It is still Denver, and
they've got to prove it in the playoffs. Obviously, they haven't in years past. However, I mean, you can say the same thing about the Grizzlies too. They haven't gotten any farther. I mean, your top 4 teams in the West haven't. Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Pelicans have never, not with these iterations of the team, proven it in the playoffs. You know, Kings haven't even had the shot. Pelicans same. Top 2, both second-round teams last year, but I don't think the Nuggets made it to the Western Conference Finals yet with this group.
I don't believe so.
I think 2 years ago they were close. They didn't. Last year was the
Who was in the finals in the bubble? Who was Western? Who did the Lakers beat in the conference finals in the bubble?
Let's see. Let's look that up.
If they ever did it, it would have been that year. But I don't think it would have been that year. But I got to be honest. I blacked out a lot of the bubble playoffs because the Pacers got swept. And
I don't really count it. I still argue against it. Let's see. Conference final schedules 2000. Suns and is that right? I can't know. That's not right. This is 2021. This is
no. I was gonna say the Suns. The bubble was their coming out party. If you remember, they won every regular season game. I think in the bubble, and then the next year, I was one of the idiots. That doesn't count.
It was 2020 is when it was. There we go.
And the
Eastern Conference Finals were the Heat and the Celtics.
Yep.
Because the Heat won. Yeah, Heat won that. Where's the Western Conference? I had the 2021 pulled. Or here we go. Western Conference Finals was the Nugs, the Lakers and Nugs.
Okay.
But the Lakers beat them 4-1. It was pretty convincing beatdown.
God, can they just do like a basketball only Jeopardy? I swear, I will do some damage there, baby.
Oh yes.
It's like I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I had like some weird visual memory of the Nuggets playing in the Western Conference Finals in the bubble. I'm like, wait a minute.
I don't because that bubble does not count. It's illegal. Doesn't count.
Hey,
asterisk everywhere. So
if weird. Lethal TJ Warren had led the Pacers to the promised land, that I
would have counted.
Yeah. So that's why I have to count it for the Lakers because I'd have counted it.
At least you admit that. At least you admit that fact.
Yep. That's why I'm just like, hey, I don't disagree, but also like I'd have counted it. So, but I'm over here trying to count ABA championships because that's all I've got. Hey, I'm gonna palate cleanse here for a minute. Before we get into any of our segments, let's look at this because one of the best moments in NBA Twitter happened. I believe it was yesterday.
Oh my God. Kev, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
So I will read it for. Oh
please,
my God!
Please, God, Kev.
For those in the audience that if you can't see the screen,
God.
Van Gundy, one of my favorites, by the way. Both.
I actually saw. Let's quick comment. I love the Van Gundys. I think they're I love Stan and I love Jeff. I think Jeff's a fantastic announcer, and I love Stan. I think he's a great coach, and the personalities are great.
Yes,
so it couldn't have happened like a better person.
Yes, agreed. Two of my favorites. Jeff Van Gundy was not a favorite of mine as a coach, but I absolutely respect. That was strictly because of a Pacers-Knicks rivalry, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't like him for one very good reason. But man, I've learned so much about the game of basketball from watching broadcasts that he was doing the play-by-play, doing the color commentary for as a kid. And both of them are brilliant. And I love both of them as color commentary guys.
They're fantastic announcers. I love them as announcers.
Yeah, I think sometimes Stan is a little better as an announcer because he hasn't adjusted he's rubbed it. He and his players have he's rubbed his players the wrong way. There we go. Easy for me to say, pal. But this is kind of shining a light into that, right? I feel like we're getting a moment into maybe why Stan has not gotten along with some of his younger players before because he he's old and he doesn't understand the lingo. And how many
Mhm.
arguments did he maybe get into because
I
he just didn't know what
can't.
Dwight Howard was saying?
This is so good. Please just
So here we
Kev, I want you to
go.
give me your best Stan Van Gundy. Like I can't. This is so funny.
Here we go. 90s NBA teams had just a trainer and a strength coach. They practiced more often and harder and played more back-to-backs. Teams now have huge medical and performance staffs and value rest over practice. Yet injuries and games missed are way up. Something's not working. To which Kevin Durant, professional tweeter, said, Stan
Professional.
spitting. Stan.
He completely doesn't know what this means. He has no idea. The man has not a clue what this means.
Stan thinking he's getting called out says, no, I'm not criticizing players. I'm saying that we are getting something wrong in how we prepare and train players. We can't do anything about injuries like yours. He fell on your leg, but all these groin, hamstring injuries, etc., shouldn't be happening as much as they are. Stan, I agree with you. Stan.
Oh man, it's so good.
And
it's so freaking good.
Thank you to Philippe.
Had no idea. Stan spitting means speaking facts. Stan had no idea.
Had no idea. Yeah, it's just my favorite thing.
Oh, it's
my
so
goodness.
funny. It's so good. Because you do, like, if you read it and then you don't know what he says, like, it sounds like Kevin Durant might be, like, disagreeing with him. Being like,
yeah,
like, who is this old coot? Nope.
Because it would have been, like, spitting is, like, a disrespectful thing to do.
Yep.
So if you don't know that context of
you don't have
spitting
any
bars,
idea.
you're thinking, what, Stan? I'm not spitting at anyone. I'm not trying to criticize you guys. Like, it's such a logical mistake that Stan made, but God, it cracked me up. Man.
Oh, it's so good.
And in a world, we normally, if we're ever talking about Kevin Durant on Twitter, it's usually because of an argument he's gotten into, or something kind of petty.
His
if I'm
burner
being
account
honest,
gets caught.
Yeah. He's Michael Rappaport is in his DMs.
Oh man, he's a wild man on Twitter. KD's wild.
He absolutely is. And that was fun. I enjoyed that we got to see that and share that with all of you. So we've gone through our highlights. Let's look at the scores over the last couple of days.
Since we're going scores, let's go Warriors Celtics update. 2:19 left in the game. Warriors are up 4. They're up 4 right now.
Wow. 102 to 98. So yeah, it's tightening up here. So I'm scrolling through our day slate. We had some blowouts. Bucks and Celtics took care of business against Indiana and Charlotte. Lakers beat Houston. Cavs beat the Pelicans by 10. Monday was a boring night, slow night. Raptors beat the Knicks by 2. That was the only story, and that's something to talk about. When I looked at that game, yes, they won it in overtime, but I saw Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Anunoby, Gary Trent. I was like, oh, the Raptors are healthy again. Oh, look out. This Raptors team could be on the rise just at the time where the Pacers are losing every game in sight by, I think, an average of 13.8 points without their would-be all-star.
They are, man, they struggle without him right now.
They really do. And I
had my stats up on them too. Where did I have that? Oh, because you had the question you posed me, are the Pacers cooked?
Yes.
The answer is
I
yes.
did. And also the answer.
They've lost 5 straight, 23-23, 9th in the East. Halliburton's out another minute. That was tough last week, going to that game and not getting to see Halliburton go against Ja. That has been a really fun matchup. We all missed out on that. He looked fine on the sidelines. I hit you during the game. He was walking around normal, no crutches, nothing. He looked fine. He's out at least another week, but their weekend swing is at Denver at Phoenix, who's another team that's struggling, but they ain't beating Denver. Not in Denver. No way.
Not a chance. Yeah. Maybe we'll beat Phoenix. Phoenix is imploding at this point.
Phoenix is not. They're struggling.
I don't know what I'll look at that. Speaking of Phoenix, they lost by 30 to the Grizzlies on Monday. While we're looking at Monday's scores.
They've fallen apart, man.
Anthony Edwards becomes the youngest player to hit 500 3-pointers. That also happened on Monday when the Jazz beat
they've won
the Wolves
6 of 8. The Wolves have won some games here. Your team's
Yeah, they
coming
almost
back.
beat Utah. So both are two bounce darlings, Minnesota and Utah. They're both sitting at one game under 500. 23 and 24 for Utah, 22 and 23 for Minnesota. But yeah, what I was gonna ask you, and maybe we'll touch in on this later when we look at all the standings, but the Raptors, we're gonna talk about a couple of their guys. It's interesting to see they're getting hot at the wrong time because people want to trade for their, well, in a sense, they're getting hot at the right time because they're going to drive up the prices on guys like Gary Trent. You can't drive Anunoby's price up any higher.
No, his is high, man. Trying to pry him out of there is tough.
That is
ridiculous. I don't see him going. What are they're asking for? What we found? Let's see. Reports are they want 2 promising players on team-friendly deals and a pick. I'd assume probably a first, maybe a second. I don't see it. Do you? He's good and young.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Who is going to trade for that? And here's another one. Gary Trent. We'll pull him up as well. Early indications are that Trent will be seeking upwards of $25 million in average annual value before the 23-24 campaign begins.
Lord.
So again, not necessarily the trade price being so high, but knowing
you have to pay him.
That's what he's going to ask for. Yeah, these guys they're in a weird position now because they're starting to win some games. If they had been healthy and they had won these games earlier, you might have seen them as trade deadline buyers.
That's yeah. It puts them in a weird spot, dude. Puts them in it like they're sitting outside the playoffs right now. They're 1 game back of the Bulls. They're in 11th in the East. The thing is, they're not terribly far back from 8th. They're 3 games back. They can get hot and get rolling. They've won 4 of the last. Let's see here what they have there, because they're live right now. I wonder what that score is. They've won 4. Yeah, 4 of the last 6. They had a 3-game losing streak before that. Let's check that score. See what's going on there.
They lost Tuesday against the Bucks, but Fred VanVleet again. He had 33 and 39 on Monday and Tuesday.
It looks like Warriors Celtics is about to go overtime. It's tied at 106, I believe, if the last shot didn't go in. The Raptors are up. All right, the Raptors are up 8 on the Timberwolves in the 4th. Just started the 4th. I can't get a confirmation if this game went to overtime or not. I'm not sure yet. Let's hop on.
Well, that's fantastic, though. Either way, we're going to get maybe 2 live games ending, which is fantastic.
Usually doesn't happen.
We've upgraded the studio, as you can tell, so we are now able to check in live with these games.
Kev's a magician, folks. Kev is a magician.
I just, I'm a slow learner, so it took me 12 episodes to learn how to use all this stuff. But
you're smarter than me, bud.
It is a good time to mention that those of you in the audience, we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment and ask us a question below. Again, I like to put out polls early in the week, probably about Monday, to try to get your input. I put out a thread early in the week that we add the stories that we might be talking about. So hop in there, leave us a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. If you have a take, I'd love to hear it. We shared Max's take a couple weeks ago about Denver being the best in the West, and
he looks like
hot damn, right? Pretty soon we're going to bring him on, as our celebrity prognosticator. But yeah, so let us know, leave a comment, ask a question. And in the meantime, James, what are we looking at? Do we have a confirmation on overtime?
It looks like Jaylen Brown hit a 3. I think it went to OT. I see it Celtics timeout, but I don't. Maybe they got it off with 1.1 seconds left. I'm not sure.
I do. So yeah. It's interesting. On my side, it's showing there's 1
showing
second
the same
left
thing. Yeah, I can't. I see 0, but I see a timeout with 1.1 seconds. I'm trying to pull the radio broadcast up and see.
Very, very interesting. We're going to keep an eye on that.
We'll have to pay attention. I don't know. I'm actually I'm confuzzled. I'm very confuzzled here, Kev. I'm confuzzled. I don't know what's going on.
Well, while we wait, I'll run through, because our Tuesday slate was very quick, but we did have some good matchups. So I'll run through that, and hopefully by the time we get through it, we will have an answer. So Drew Holiday and Fred VanVleet were dealing in Tuesday's battle. That was crazy. 37 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists for Holiday, while Van Fleet also flirted with a triple-double, 39 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. The Spurs beat the Nets, and this is where I want to take a little pit stop and talk about one particular Spurs player who is getting a lot of attention. Gotta wait for this to pull up, but you guys might know who I'm talking about. He's maybe dyed his hair to look a little bit like Dennis Rodman, has talked about wanting to be the Draymond Green type player. I believe Sochan was also, correct me if I'm wrong, Sochan also didn't he have to switch to the one-handed free throws?
Yeah, he's
And
the guy shooting one-handed. Yeah, he's shooting
he's
one-handed. Yeah.
one of the most interesting players in the league right now to keep an eye on. I'm not sure how I feel about him, but that's part of what makes it so much fun. Definitely, I think it's a guy that if he could make free throws, I'd really like to have on my team. You know this about me, James. I will not tolerate it unless you broke both of your wrists or you can score. If you can do either of the, unless you are Shaquille O'Neal in one way or the other, it's inexcusable to me. You got nothing but it takes only time to get good from the foul line.
I think we got overtime. I think it's official. I think we got overtime.
Officially overtime. So, yeah, the Spurs had beat the Nets on Tuesday. The Nuggets beat the Blazers by 9. Jokic. You want to talk about that one?
I want to roll back to Brooklyn real quick here because there's starting to be some parallels with last season with KD being hurt. They've lost 3 straight without him, and last year they fell apart in season without him too. And I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but that's a worrisome trend.
And did you notice
they fell apart last year?
Yeah, this happened last year. And did you hear Kyrie's comments? Because he was asked about this, and
I don't think I did.
He said that the difference was that this time they have him, and that they don't have anyone in the locker room that's only half committed. So
is he talking about himself?
Right? It's just sort of like a Spider-Man meme, right?
Yeah.
But James Harden clearly, in my opinion, is who he was talking about there. But yeah, it's
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Who are you to make that statement, sir? But yeah, from this game, it was Claxton of all people, potential all-star in his own right, who had a double-double. Ben Simmons also had a double-double in rebounds and assists. Claxton had 15 and 11. Seth Curry starting at Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris.
I don't know how long he's out for. Do you? You have any idea?
I do not. I believe. Yeah. Well, let's get an update on that.
I'm gonna pull it up and see.
I believe it's only a couple weeks. I don't believe we're dealing in months here.
No, I don't think so either.
But Kyrie was another notable absence on Tuesday. Now, I believe he was probable coming into the game tonight. So I believe he played tonight. He had missed the last game with a calf injury, I believe. But the reports as of last night was that he was probable and that it was more of a precautionary sort of what do we call that in the locker room? A tweak, James? It's like not quite a pull, maybe a strain, just kind of maybe better if I don't run for a couple of days before I tear something.
Yeah.
But so
Sprained
no
MCL expected to miss a month starting January 9th. So we're 10 days in. So he's probably out another 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yep. But sounds about right. And yeah, so they will get, or they maybe, like I said, they maybe did get, we'll see. It's 10 o'clock is the tip off. So that's why I'm not certain yet because the game hasn't started.
Yeah,
but Kyrie is probable to start here in about 4 minutes.
Yep.
But he might not play a lot of minutes because they might not need him against the Suns because poor 21 and 24 Phoenix has dealt with their own injuries. And this might be one of the few teams the Nets can beat with only 20 minutes of Kyrie.
They're not playing very well. That's for sure. They are not playing good at all.
So do you think it's a month? So they are currently 27 and 16. Do you have their schedule pulled up? I can pull up their schedule.
I can pull it up in 1 second if I just get to the standings. There we go.
Because I think that's the biggest answer to this question because I posed the same question for the Pacers. We can kind of just lump them both together here now. We'll do the Nets first. But the reason for me that the Pacers were cooked and continue to be cooked is the schedule. Like there are teams in the NBA that you can beat right now without being full strength. Unfortunately for Indiana, they just aren't playing any of them for the next month. So if Brooklyn is, maybe they'll be okay.
I don't think they're cooked. It's up and down, but it's at Phoenix, at Utah. So one for sure, one which is Utah's pretty much a coin flip, at Golden State, at Philadelphia. So it's pretty tough right out the gate. Then you got Detroit, New York, LA. That's some winnable games there. Going to Boston's not. Home against Washington's a possibility. The Clips, Phoenix again, the Bulls. Now you're suddenly in territory. This is the area where he's going to be coming back. 76ers, New York, Miami. I don't think they're cooked. I mean, I think it's a losing record coming out of there in that stretch, but by no means are they cooked. I think they'll be fine. I think they can weather this storm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is salvageable.
They've got right now they're fourth. They've got a 3.5 game lead on 6th, 7th. Yeah, I think they're all right. They win tonight. Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. They'll fall a little bit, but I bet you they come when we pick them back up. I bet they're in that 6-7 range, and then if they can they had won 18 of 20 before KD got hurt.
Right, and then when we look at that, you talk about the range. Yeah, that I don't see. There isn't much to threaten them. Yeah, Cleveland will pass them.
The Heat are playing well. Heat have gotten hot a little bit, but I mean the teams after that, the Knicks, Hawks, Pacers, Bulls, those. They're gonna play some of those.
This is what I'm looking at. I think the Raptors will be up here. Indiana will.
Yeah, the Raptors could come up.
To be honest, I see the Raptors above Chicago as well. Atlanta, I still believe. All right, I know. I'll put it this way. For things to have gone as badly as they have in Atlanta, for them to still be a game over 500, like if they do get it, if they do right the ship, I don't believe in them in a sense that they'll do any damage in the playoffs.
But I
just believe that
they'll.
But exactly. I think they're a playoff team. New York.
That one's tough. Jalen Brunson's playing. Jalen Brunson's playing like a wild man right now.
Jalen Brunson has been going off. He had himself a day earlier this week. I may have been last night. He made the list as well. Let's check that out. After last night, Brunson dropped 25 plus in 8 straight games, the longest streak by a Knicks guard since 1965. 99th percentile in isolation efficiency, 94th scoring gravity, 40% on catch and shoot threes, and 39% on pull-up threes. And that is courtesy of NBA University because, dang, they do some great work. They've been featured on NBA's actual live broadcast. So thank you. And again, another way you could end up on our show, by the way, is just to be someone who tweets about NBA things, who also happens to follow me or follow James. And if you have some good NBA takes, you might end up in this little thread where we will talk about your stuff. And I will, of course, always give you credit because that's what we're here to do. So where else? We've got the Tuesday games pretty much wrapped up. We can talk about yesterday, but I also have the All-Star voting that just came out. We can go over round 3 of the All-Star game. I have a what-if question for you, James. And then, of course, we have Austin Rivers versus Mixtape Culture featuring a third grade highlight reel. So we've got a lot still. Don't worry, folks.
A few things I want to mention we haven't touched on. We got to talk about, and I'm going to say this name wrong. Is it Alperen Sengun?
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Yes. I don't know if that's how you say it, but yes.
You know who I'm talking about. Youngest player in Rockets franchise history to record a triple-double. He's 20 years old. And then he followed that game up with 33 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks. And that was on 14 of 17 from the field. He is playing he's really good right now, folks.
Houston is impressing me in a sense. I like some
little
things.
Can they put those? They got so many. They're talented, and they're going to get another high draft pick. The question is, can they put it together? Because they ain't winning games.
And they continue, this narrative continues to be pushed that James Harden would be welcoming to return to. And I don't know if it's just really giddy Rockets blog writers doing this or what, but I'm seeing so much of it.
He's so old. Why would he want to do that at the twilight of his career? They're bad. They're 10-35. They have the worst record in the league right now.
I wonder how much of it is. So let's say, for instance, because James Harden also, while we're talking about James Harden, he was quoted as saying, and now I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have the quote in front of me, but he said that this Sixers team right now today is the best chance he's ever had to win in his career. He even
I
said,
saw
you
the
know,
same thing.
that Thunder team that we had was good, but this is the best chance. Those are his words. My thought is this: if the Sixers were to, let's just say, win the NBA title, I could then see James Harden wanting to go back to Houston. And that, again, will lead us into another story that I forgot, though we don't have to go to it yet, but we will go to it at some point because John Wall said a lot of things on a recent podcast. But one of the things that he said, which may or may not be true because one of the other things he said was contested. One of the things he said was the first day he got to Houston, James Harden was said, "Oh, I'm going to Lil Baby's birthday party. I won't be there."
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps it was pretty well documented that James Harden was doing whatever he wanted in Houston up until, I mean, even the stuff that eventually got him out, was like they were letting him do whatever he wanted until he finally was like, "I'm just going to eat junk food and not show up." And then they're like, "Fine, we'll trade you." But so it could be that where it's just like, "Hey, I want to go home. I like Houston. I like the freedom I'd have there. If I'm already a champion, I can come back, do a farewell tour." I could see that being agreeable to someone.
I don't disagree with you there, but do you think they're going to win the title? Because I don't. I don't put them in my. They're good. I don't put them in my elite.
No, I don't, and I will just have to see it to believe it. But I don't think we can pull that roster up if you'd like. But I don't know that enough changes were made between this year and last year. I know they added some much needed toughness. You got PJ Tucker. Who else they add? Melton, right? And then in a trade. So they're talented. I love Maxey. I think a lot of people do. But no, a championship contender, I don't believe it. What I'm looking through this roster. Yes, we have Tobias Harris. Okay, Montrezl Harrell. That was the other tough name that I was slipping my mind. The other addition. We got Cork Maz, we got Shake Milton, that D'Anthony Melton. That always, those two make it easy to remember. Matisse Thybulle, Paul Reed, George. No, I don't see it, man. When I look at, I don't know if I'd pick them to beat the Cavs in a 7-game series right now, as both teams are built. I might like Cleveland. To me, honestly, Cavs, Sixers, whoever has home court advantage is who I'd pick. Because you give the Cavs 4 home games, they win that series, I think. Yeah. Because they're good enough to steal one on the road.
I think if they're the lower seed, I think they're good enough to win it. I think Cavs are better.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel. I think,
absolutely. And honestly, if it were okay.
Yeah, so I lost you there for a second. So I like Donovan Mitchell in that group more. No questions asked there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think there are other veteran teams where I might say, "Oh yeah, well, Cleveland's younger, they don't have as much experience," but Philly doesn't.
Donovan Mitchell's got a lot of experience though.
Donovan Mitchell has a ton of experience. That's true. The Cavs have some of their own. They still have some veteran presence on that roster, and the Sixers, I don't know what that playoff experience is getting them at this point.
Yeah,
I haven't seen the growth from them.
Yeah,
that leads me to believe they're a real title contender. So I don't know. I would be surprised, but I don't, unless I like what Houston's doing in a sense of building for the future. Like they have some talent there. They have some decisions to make. And if they end up with they're a team that could also just end up with Scoot. And then they might have to probably have to make a decision, move some pieces, but that's fine. Yeah, they can work something out there. So having Sengun doing what he's doing just makes things a lot better for them. So that is very interesting. Was there anything else from the early week that we haven't looked at that you wanted to look at, James?
I've got to acknowledge that Markelle Fultz is alive. He had 20 points on Sunday. He's averaging He had 14.1, 6.3 assists per game, and 4.1 rebounds per game in January. So good for him, man. He's alive. Like, he's just a career derailed by injuries and I think the yips. So he is alive and well for the Magic right now.
Good, and we're happy to hear it, happy to see it, because I wish him the best of luck. Want to see a full recovery. Wow, James, we have checked on the Celtics and the Warriors, and you might be shocked when you see what the outcome. It's not finished yet, but it is.
It has gone the other way. Woof. They got outscored 15.
Boston
15-7. Told you it's on the road. They can't win on the road. It's impossible.
With an 8-point lead. Yep. Couldn't finish it. Wow, the Warriors could not finish. 38 seconds left in overtime, but I would be very confident calling it, folks. Very close here. 4 minutes left in the fourth. The Raptors nursing a 3-point lead against Toronto. And let's see. I'm going to check on the status of our good friend Kyrie Irving, because Phoenix has tipped off.
He is in the game, my friend.
7-4 Brooklyn lead, and he is in the game. There we go. Good news for Nets fans and anyone who decided to bet on that game. I'm sure they were watching that very like a hawk. So I've got round 3 of the All-Star voting, James, because it's about that time. So
it's getting close.
Let's go. There we go. We've got, I don't see a whole lot that's new, if I'm being honest.
It's going to be the same arguments we
sticking
had.
Out to you?
No, I think it's the same ones. Not much has changed. It's the Russell Westbrook on the guards in the West. Austin Reeves above Booker, and Fox is playing good, man. He hit 31 the other night. He's playing great. Derrick Rose on the list on the other side.
Why is Domantas Sabonis 10th on this list, fans? What are we doing?
Man, like, I'd put him up there 8th, right? Wiggs
At
being that high is
8th.
really weird, too. Wiggs doesn't belong that high.
I was just thinking, for my money, Domas is probably in that top 5 right now, because again,
I would agree.
I have a person. I'm with that, in no disrespect to them, and I'm even doing this with Tyrese. Okay, I don't like doing this, but just to show I'm not playing favorites here. If you're injured, to me, you can be an honorary All-Star. Like, if you get voted in, you can be named to the All-Star team. But that roster spot is going to go to someone anyway. So when I say, I see Sabonis 4 or 5, I'm excluding Zion from even being part of that list. Really.
Yeah, he's not.
And honestly, Paul George. I'd have to look at Paul George to see how many games he's actually played.
Yep.
But for me, maybe Laurie. But Sabonis is averaging a double-double. He's not as many people are seeing it, but in my opinion, De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are both All-Stars.
I do find it very interesting from a fan voting perspective that Ja's 3rd and not 1st in the guards, because kids love him. He is by far one of the younger generation's favorite players in the league. So to see him that million, he's 3 and 3.2 million votes behind Curry and Doncic. That's a pretty mega number for a guy that's seems like one of the most popular players in the league.
And props to SGA, because he's been, every hoop head's favorite young player for a minute now, and he's finally starting to get that national and worldwide acclaim, because he's right behind Ja. He's breathing down his neck, and mentioning the worldwide stuff, I think that's a good reason for Luka's explanation.
Yeah, Luka's, that makes sense for him. You're good call there. You're right there.
And Steph Curry, maybe that too. Maybe it's a little bit of that Michael Jordan effect. He's just been around so long. To some people, you look, the only 2 people have more votes than Steph Curry, or 3. Sorry, I see Kevin Durant up there too. But yeah, it's LeBron, who's the face of the league for the last 20 years. It's Giannis, who has at least one, if not multiple countries. Yeah.
Kev, got to pause you. The Celtics are only up 3. DiVincenzo hit it too. They must have fouled Wiggs on a 3. He hit all 3 free throws to get to 115.
5
then
seconds.
They stole
3
it.
seconds. Horford missed
30.
one. Oh my
Yep,
goodness.
so that's all I got is Horford missed a shot. That's all I can see right now.
Oh, as soon as I said
Warriors
the words,
have the ball. I don't think
I was like,
oh, they don't
oh
have a timeout though.
Oh wow. As soon as I said it's probably safe to call it, I was like, uh-oh, Kev, you did it. It's another bounce curse. Another
I don't think the Warriors
curse.
have a timeout though. Be interesting to see here. They're attempting the comeback.
End of OT. That's game. I believe that's game.
I don't think they had a ton of time.
It just says, I hate when it does that.
I agree. It does nothing. I assume the Celtics just won that game. I don't think the Warriors had a timeout to advance it. Let's see.
And as we look, so as he's looking at that, folks, we're just pulling up the first and second All-Star ballots. So just look along with me. We can see the leads didn't really change other than Giannis overtaking Durant in the front court in the East. But yeah, Ja started out, he had almost 1 million votes after the first run, and then only added another 1 million throughout, whereas everyone else at his level increased by about 1 million. And so it's very interesting to see that he is not getting the level of acclaim that I thought, because if you get on Twitter, you see Ja everywhere, which again should be noted that of all the social medias, Twitter has one of the smaller footprints. It's small at 230 million, but you know, I got to go see. Apparently Steph Curry still owns Instagram is what I'm getting at. Apparently there's just a lot more highlights elsewhere, because I would have really thought Ja would have had more representation.
Celtics did win. And Celtics won it.
They did pull it out.
Yeah.
They did pull it out. And I will say I'm surprised. You talk about popularity contest. I'm so very, there's no such thing as bad publicity, huh? Because Kyrie Irving still managed to lead all Eastern Conference guards in vote getting.
All publicity is good publicity. Jason Tatum played all 48 minutes tonight, 34 points, 19 rebounds, 6 assists. Woof. God, he's good.
Wow. What absolutely. So that is excellent. Let's see. I'm going to check on the Raptor. It's tied now. Wait, wow. We've got another one, folks. Another nail biter coming in. Let me take this down.
We don't usually get these on Thursday, Kev.
No, 26-26 with 18 seconds left. We're going to do something.
The Timberwolves have the ball. Timeout advanced it.
I'm going to do something new today and just pull up a... Got the streams, the box.
Just called
Game
timeout, it looks like.
I'm going to pull that back down so we don't have the ads popping up. But I wanted you guys to be able to see the stats there. We've got Siakam's got 13, Anunoby 15, Barnes 29. There we go. Van Fleet 25, Gary Trent 18. But that's what I'm talking about with this Raptors team, man. Like that's such a deep, solid five, and a lot of it I really think is injury. But
they have a lot. They've had
that's a team. Yeah. I think they could rattle off a bunch of wins. I really do. Raptors scare me if I'm in the East. If this team stays built this way, and that's what
they can just.
It would be so interesting because they could sell. Yeah, they could go either way, right? Like they could sell, and we could be looking at this team outside, like just not even a playoff team, or they could just as easily convince themselves to buy if they win out, or if they win 80% of their games between now and February 5th, are they no longer sellers in this market? Because I think I might not be. I think I might want to be a buyer if I win a bunch of games and I'm sitting 7th in the East.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There's the old adage, though, James. What could they really win? We ask that question a lot here on this show. What do you really stand to win if you're Toronto this season when you're looking at those 4 behemoths above you in the standings?
That's a good question.
And they're not terribly deep. And this is where we find the weakness of this team. So we want to see it. Here is the Raptors bench.
Man. Only 3 guys that played over 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing an overtime game, running a Tom Thibodeau rotation, and Tom Thibodeau's not on the sideline. So that should tell you a little bit about the depth of their bench, because most coaches, I think, would play. Yeah, I mean, Thaddeus Young, 7 minutes. I mean, he's
I
getting.
didn't even know he
He's
was still in
probably.
the league. One of
I
those
was just
type
gonna
of
say he's
guys.
getting up there, but
Man,
yeah,
34, yeah.
so looking at this, I don't know, James. I kind of am back on the seller idea. It's like you have such a good starting five, but what else you got?
If you're selling, who are you selling? What's your who's the guys that go? Scotty Barnes isn't going anywhere. Let's get that one off the board. He's
Nope.
definitely not going anywhere. He's too young.
Not Fred. Honestly, Fred, Scotty, and Pascal, I think are enough to build around. And then Anunoby, I don't know if they're going to get what they're asking for, but if they do, okay, do
Yeah,
it
I think
because
the asking price is too high. I think you're right on that
yeah.
too.
But if they get that kind of a trade, so I think about it this way. And yeah, more pieces moved afterwards, but look at how it worked for the Pelicans to move a superstar for two valuable good players, one of which became a superstar in Brandon Ingram.
With
And
a
then,
pick in there too. Yeah, it turned out
yeah,
really well for him.
and then they had Lonzo and Josh Hart. So yeah, it was three young players instead of two. But at the time, don't forget this: Josh Hart was a second-round pick who was just a summer league darling. Like he is a dude now. That
It
is
wasn't
a
like
pretty
that. It
well-known
wasn't
name, but
always like that.
that wasn't who they thought they were trading for. So it can work. I'll raise you another one. When Paul George demanded to be out of Indiana, he was traded for two young upcoming players named Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis. So
Had
one,
Victor not got injured, it'd be quite a bit different story. What did
yep,
he do? Tore his groin. It's really ruined his whole career. But he went to the All-Star game after getting there. Like he was doing
yeah, I was gonna
really,
say
really well.
they both were all stars while in Indiana. So that when I think of things like that, that's why the idea of trading Og intrigues me. But honestly, James, hearing about Gary Trent Jr.'s asking price, he's the first piece I'm looking to trade.
I can't believe he's going to ask for that. He is only 24. That's kind of crazy. He's been in the league 6 years. That's a mega contract for a guy he's averaging 18.5, 36% from three, only 43 from the field. That seems so high, dude. To me, that seems, I ain't paying that for him. No thanks, bud.
Yep. And that may make it difficult for him to be moved, but that's the thing. Yeah. I'm not paying it. So let's get something for him.
Somebody in this league will. You know how it is.
Exactly. Somebody. Will it be Dallas? Who's going to be the team that?
It's a question.
Could have had a guy like Jalen Brunson on a relatively team-friendly deal and is really regretting it, and now might overpay for some offensive
That's actually
help.
true. Yeah, it looks like the Timberwolves won. D'Angelo Russell got fouled, hit 2 free throws, and then OG Anunoby missed a 3-pointer. Yep. Looks like the Timberwolves came back and won that game. The curse of the bounce
trade value
is real.
going down. Oh, yep. Curse is real. And hey, you mentioned Russell, and so I'm gonna just take that opportunity to jump over to our Twitter thread here because he is now also part of this trade discussion.
Yeah,
because
he doesn't have a contract after the season, right?
Expiring on a $31.3 million contract. God. And there are no signs of an extension. Pacers fans feel this pain. So what do you do here? And the comments, it didn't help. What did he say? He said, at this point, you either know my worth or something with an expletive that I can't repeat. But he basically said, either you know what I'm worth or you trade me and I'm going to make you pay for it, basically, kind of.
Yeah, he ain't worth the money. The question is expiring. Somebody's got to pay him if they trade him. What are you going to get for him? Nobody thinks he's winning you games. He's a volume scorer.
Yeah.
Let's look at a stat line from tonight.
It's a tough one. Yeah, because I don't
25 points on 15 shots. He was pretty good tonight. I'll give him credit. I'll give him credit. I don't believe. I think he's just.
Yeah, the kind of teams. The kind of teams that need you're kind of more directly saying what I was kind of thinking in my head here, which is like the kind of teams that need him, like that need a guy of his talent, won't need a player of his play style. let's use Dallas again as a for instance. Like, let's think that's a team clearly needs some offensive help. You're gonna have D'Lo playing next to Doncic.
No,
it could work. Obviously, Brunson was a good ISO player, but I also think he was a better teammate. So
yeah, and he is shooting 36.8% from three, so it would work next to Doncic. He's averaging his lowest points per game since he's got to Minnesota. I don't know, man. I'd be leery to give up too much for him.
Yeah, someone might get a fleece on this. Now, Minnesota may fall victim to the sunken cost fallacy, in which they are a little hesitant. They're kind of like a wounded animal, not really trusting anybody in a trade right now after watching Walker Kessler look like a guy that could have just done a better job at what they wanted Rudy Gobert to do. And Rudy Gobert looks like he's playing like a guy who looks with the name Walker Kessler might play like, you know what I mean? Like Rudy Gobert's playing like your MPC in your My Career, and Walker Kessler's playing like a young Rudy Gobert that can score.
He's had a good little run here. He's been good.
And now we hear reports that Minnesota didn't want to include him in that trade. And so
they wanted 3 big guys. They want another one.
Yeah, which also, how much sense does that even make? But it's like, why just don't make the trade?
They weren't tall enough. They weren't tall enough to begin with, so they needed more.
The Tri Towers. They're like, listen, that's why it didn't work in Houston. There wasn't enough. You needed
there just wasn't enough of them.
We needed Moses Malone to go with Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Then it would work. We're just
right.
This isn't hockey, guys. What are we trying to do here?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
So I have a hypothetical for you, James, before we switch into
Let's do it.
A very interesting debate. I saw this tweet where Rip Hamilton claims it would be no comparison. We can guard every position. Now, you can't quite see it on the banner, so I'm going to hide it for a second for you folks at home. That is in relations to the 2016 Warriors and whether or not the 2004 Spurs could take them down. So, James, what are your first thoughts on this take?
All right, let's get the lineups out of the way. Let's go first. So you've got Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, and Ben Wallace would have been your starting 5 for the Pistons. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
And then let's get the Warriors. That's Steph, Clay. Who are the other ones on this title team?
16 is Draymond.
Missing him.
Ziggy starting in 16.
Is it Iggy? And then who would have been this 5? Let's look at the
2016.
Because I want to make sure we got the right one.
Was Bogut in 2016? There we go. 25, 2016. Let's see. Yeah. Or Leandro Barbosa. Yeah, they had Andrew Bogut as a center. Let's see. Mo Spates. Yep. Sean Livingston still on the squad. Kevon Looney was there. Yeah, Iguodala was there. Yes, because this was
games started. So your majority starters were Green, Thompson, Curry, Bogut, Barnes.
Yeah, this is pre-KD.
Oh, this was the Livingston, Andre Iguodala when they would do the quote unquote death lineup they would put in. Man, that's wild. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Which is why I think. I think maybe some people saw this and thought instantly you think Kevin Durant Warriors.
That's what you're like. No, that's what
you're like. No, I don't think so. And I would agree with that because Rasheed Wallace is not sticking with Kevin Durant.
This is a better matchup than you think because you got Chauncey's got Steph, Rip has Clay, Bogut, Ben Wallace. I struggle to see Draymond. So Draymond gets Tayshaun Prince gets Harrison Barnes. Draymond Green goes against Rasheed Wallace. That is pretty fun, man.
That is so much fun. And especially in the Rip Hamilton, Klay Thompson, because for those of you who are younger and didn't have the pleasure of watching Rip Hamilton play, coming off of screens, the only guy, it was so great to watch in the Central Division. You got to watch an aging Reggie Miller play against an up and coming Rip Hamilton because they were the same guy except that Rip didn't have a 3-point shot, but they both were just so vicious, and they ran you to death running off of screens, never stopped moving without the ball. And and that's what I'm saying, Rip Hamilton, although he didn't have the 3-point shot, he developed it a little later in his career, honestly a little too late. He should have developed that earlier, because he was lethal from the mid-range. So he was very much a jump shooter. But much like Klay Thompson, Klay's had some crazy games where he scored 50 points on 11 dribbles because he's good at just getting open. And then, so just to watch those two guys who know how to get open, but B, also, like, Rip was a great defender and great at defense. Like, when you know how to get open as a shooting guard, you're the best guy to defend someone who knows how to get open off screens, because you're playing chess with each other now. So that matchup specifically, to me, it would be the most fun. Like, I wouldn't be watching the ball. I'd be watching those two run off screens.
I think it's the same argument. You come back to the eras, just because this era they shoot more threes. I would tend to lean towards Golden State just for that reason. It is
because they had the range.
Yeah, it's a way closer matchup than you think, man. That's very fun.
And to add to that, that is where, Rasheed Wallace is a big help, because he paved the way for the stretch four. Rasheed Wallace was a bit of an anomaly back, and there have always been a couple of guys around the league that's stretch fours of all. You think of like Rashard Lewis, there have been 6'10" guys that could stroke for a while. But the Pistons had one. So that also kind of balances out a little bit. But then you look at guys like Tayshaun and Rip Hamilton, who weren't good, and Chauncey Billups, who by this time was a great distance, but it was still more of like a clutch shooting. I would imagine, he was still a low 30s kind of guy, percentage shooting from three. But it would be so much fun. I won't even pick a winner. I will just say, I guess I'd rather see the 2016 team win, because screw that 2004 Pistons team. I don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like them.
They're no kin to me. So let us know in the chat what you think. Let us know in a comment who wins 2004 Pistons, 2016 Golden State Warriors. I would love to hear future what if, who would win LeBron's Heat versus the 86 Celtics. I don't know. I'm just pulling teams out. Let us know. You tell me what you would want us to debate. I love these kinds of discussions a lot more so than this other one that we're going to have. But I don't necessarily disagree. So here we go. Okay. I'm going to swap here. Austin Rivers. When I played high school, you only got a mixtape if you were a top tier guy. The landscape has changed now. Parents are paying people to come. Everyone gets a mixtape and looks at the camera. Highlight culture has absolutely killed the game of basketball. So there's footage to go along, but I want to, let's save that. Let's just talk together here, James, about this, and then we'll dive into it further. Maybe show some of Austin's evidence. What do you think about this, James?
I don't think I've ever agreed with Austin Rivers in my life, and I think he's 100% correct. I think it's prevalent. It's AAU started this, but winning doesn't matter to these kids anymore. None of them. There's so many of them that don't care about winning. All they care about is the highlights, how they look, what accessories they're wearing, how's it going to look when they post their workouts to Instagram, to TikTok, the game. Like, I absolutely agree with him. I think it's made players worse. I think they focus on the wrong things. I don't think they don't care about winning. It doesn't matter.
That's
why you play. That's why you play. You play to win.
That is, I mean, I don't know. I am the kind of guy that had to stop playing Words with Friends with his father because I don't like to lose. And I'm not having fun if I lose. I'm a very competitive person, even in everything that I do, even if it's something like this. I'm not necessarily competing against other people, but against myself. I'm competing against the last episode, right? Can we get more views? Can we get more comments and stuff like that? So I am someone who's driven by competition. So I can't relate to not wanting to win. I will say I have one counterpoint before I show some footage that may prove or disprove Austin's argument. I don't disagree with Austin Rivers' argument whatsoever. I think it's just unfortunate that he chose to be the one to say it, because for those of you who don't know, Austin Rivers is the son of Doc Rivers, who has a very lengthy NBA playing and coaching career. And I would say that having a high profile NBA father like Doc Rivers not only A, gets you more opportunities than anyone else in your area because of your father's A, money, and B, known talent, and you're playing the same position. He's been your coach. So obviously you're going to just get the benefit of the doubt. And B, because you have a famous dad, I bet more people came to your games and made more mixtapes. So, and then the third thing I will say is that everyone has a film quality phone in their pocket now. So there are more
It's
people
much easier to do
it's
it.
so much easier to make. James, fun story. I got started in this industry as a basketball job. I was a student manager at the University of Toledo. Go Rockets. One of my jobs as a traveling manager was to edit game tape and to break it down. James, you're familiar with this. You have to label that stuff, right? You got to label missed shot, 13, 15 rebounds. So that way when coach needs to see, I need to see all of 15's defensive rebounds. Like, you got it. Here you go. And he can, I forget the name of the software, but basically you would clip the whole game and then you would edit it. I got to a point where I would have a second monitor and I would be live clipping the game. When we were at home, I would do it live because I didn't want to spend all that extra time doing it. But that's where I got my love for video editing and all this content creation and stuff. But I was the guy in college helping our seniors make their highlight films, their mixtapes, so that they could go off and play in France. So I've been here. I've helped make these. So this has been a part of the culture. And what I think it is it's more accessibility than anything. I think we've always had those kids that were only about this. I've played with those kids, James. You probably played with them. You've probably coached them. That's what I think. They were always there. They just didn't have an opportunity to have anybody paying attention.
So much easier now. Just so much easier. It's right here.
Every YMCA in America has at least two guys in it who would win a local dunk contest, right? Like there are dudes working at rallies today that would beat you and I in 2-on-1, right? Like there are hoopers all over this world that can throw a highlight together. And the other thing I thought about when I was thinking about this, because you grew up at around the same time, what about the N1 mixtape tour, right? Like this has been a part of hoop culture.
It is, yes.
And I think it has a place, but I have to digress because before I jump too far down Austin's throat, he's got a point because I think it's gotten little out of hand. Do you see? These are third graders. First of all, that's a travel young man. And then he's doing the two.
That's the one. I think that's the one that bothers me the most.
Too
That's
small.
taunting.
I hate too small. I hate it when adults do. And then you got the little kid who was flexing, and then he was mad that the guy didn't notice his flex, and he walked up and hits him, and then flexes again. Like you said, these kids, they care too much about the celebration.
Yeah, they're just. I don't. Man,
These are AAU kids, so right. Yep. So like these, again, that kid, he's traveling again. So that would be
too small coming. Yep.
Yeah, another too small coming, and it's like, hey man, don't try. And then see, this is now I'm criticizing 9-year-olds because they're right. And it's like, hey, well, you want to be, you want to be cocky, don't travel. But yeah, I hate the too small thing, and that was funny. Multiple players have talked about this.
Yeah, it's a reoccurring topic. People keep commenting on it.
And one of them that stepped up and talked about it, and this is not the particular tweet, but we'll just have his face pulled up, was this man, Dame Lillard, of all people, says we got to stop it. we got to cool down, which I will say in Dame's defense, Dame time. I love something like that. Like this is about me. I'm all about celebrating yourself. And I was an emotional player. I feed off energy. I would never try to take that away from one of my guys, but when it's demeaning, when it's taunting, there's no place for that. I don't mind a little trash talk.
It's there.
Some of my favorite players. Yeah. You want to try to get in a guy's head. If that's part of your game, that's part of the game. But I don't like bulletin board material. Like why? I don't give that guy that fire. Like, don't give him a reason to shut you up. Don't give him a reason to want to say, oh, really? Well, now it's on. Like
Yep,
why?
exactly. Yeah.
What do you have to gain from it?
Nothing to gain.
Just
man.
a little bit of dopamine, just a little bit of that felt great, and then it's right back to reality. So
Yeah,
don't
just
do it,
go play
kids.
defense. Go play defense.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
feels good to
I
get
think we're on the
steals
same.
too.
We're on the same page here. Yeah. Don't travel.
Oh, don't
Let's not travel.
Don't. So I will say, mixtapes, I don't mind mixtape culture because that's creating opportunities for lots of people, right?
Yep.
Videographers, editors, audio guys, stuff like that. But yeah, let's try to have a more positive influence on the
Yeah, I
youngins
agree.
because they are getting a little hectic here. So I haven't. So John Wall story time now. Okay.
Oh man.
So I can play I don't have the audio on for this. So
So
I actually don't have to.
Anybody that hasn't seen this story, I don't even. It's some podcast. I don't know which one it was.
Run Your Race, I believe, is the podcast.
So he comes on and says, so his
A
favorite
lot.
team growing up was North Carolina. Grew up loving them. It's close to where he's from. He visited. He's on an official visit. He said he went up to Tyler Hansbrough. It's like Tyler Hansbrough, Ty Lawson. They were great teams. He said he went up to Tyler Hansbrough, and Tyler Hansbrough looked at him and said, "I don't talk to recruits." Essentially what he said.
Yes.
And he says that's why he didn't go to UNC is because Tyler Hansbrough soured him, left him with a bad taste. He didn't want nothing to do with him. Tyler Hansbrough has since denied it and thrown more fire on it, essentially saying the bag of money had nothing to do with you going to Kentucky.
Exactly.
Calipari's bag of money.
I'm sure it had nothing to do with Calipari's bag of money. And there you have it, the rebuttal, the story at John Watt told on at
the
Tips
Bank
and
of
Podcast.
Calipari. Yeah, the
Bank of Calipari had nothing to do with it. And it should be noted because John Wall said a lot of stuff. Now,
he said a lot of different things in that podcast. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can talk about. That's for sure.
That some of it you could easily disprove, like the fact that he said the 16-17 Cavs didn't want to see the Wizards that year. He said that they were the one team that could have beat Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which is why they, of course, lost to them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oh, wait, John. No, they didn't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I guess they were the only team that could beat the Cavs. They just couldn't beat anybody else to get there. So
yeah, exactly.
Unfortunate.
I hate those arguments. They didn't want to see us. Well, you got to make it there first, man. Like you got to hold up your end of the bargain too.
It's weird. This is the downside to the player podcast. It's interesting to see guys do it outside of the league. Like I like seeing the retired players do it because there's that level of well, we'll never know now, right? But when you got these guys that are still in the league and they kind of like, I don't know, John Wall to me comes out of this looking like he's kind of full of it.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
like he's just making stuff up.
I would agree.
Got a made up chip on his shoulder. And because there was another one, again, we talked about it before. We'll talk about it now for those of you who missed it. He also claimed that when he got to Houston, James Harden said, "No, I'm going to a rapper's birthday party." So he is like he's saying a lot of negative things about a lot of people, and his career's not over yet.
Yeah,
is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Very interesting career move.
I tend to believe the Houston one, which is weird. Like I believe.
I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, I believe the James Harden one.
Allegedly. I think which it could be why he could have just because that's a known thing, right? We all know that Harden was at that birthday party because it's a known thing.
Very
so
known,
maybe he just took that. But yeah, John Wall just stirring it up, man. There are so many different clips from that podcast that he had. So what do you think? Do you tend to agree with Psycho T or John Wall?
It just seems like a weird thing to like, especially in football is a little bit different. There's so many players. In basketball, the teams are so small at max. They're like 15. There's 13 scholarship guys. Like for him to say something, you got a Hall of Fame coach in Roy Williams. You got a program that brings those type of recruits and players in consistently. For him to say something like that just doesn't. I don't see it. I know it wasn't that. He drove me nuts as a player because of how hard he played. Like he just drove me nuts, but I don't see him as like that. I've never seen him as a disrespectful type guy.
It would be interesting. Yeah, it could happen to anyone, right? At having that level of success, I could see it getting to someone's head, but such a detriment for such a team player, a guy who played so hard, for him to big league a high caliber recruit like that.
Yeah, it just
Doesn't
doesn't.
seem on brand to me. It
Because John
wouldn't
Wall
make
wasn't some
sense.
podunk recruit, man. He was, if I remember right, he was the #1 recruit in the nation.
Yeah,
He was
you don't
stellar.
you don't get those Bank of Calipari jokes by, they don't send
Yeah.
Coach Cal ain't paying for 3-star recruits,
No, no,
So
sir.
yeah, he absolutely was somebody. But yeah, I tend to lean in on the truth is somewhere in the middle here. I very
Mhm.
much believe that Tyler Hansbrough was probably a bit of a dick to the recruits because, well, I was a senior in high school playing sports, and I was kind of a dick to freshmen. Like
It just is. It just
it's a
is.
thing when you're a young
Yeah.
man and you happen to be, and
Yeah.
especially like I'd never got anywhere near to that guy's level of success. I won't be surprised to find out that he thought very highly of himself at times and was
Yeah.
maybe could be kind of a jerk. But I don't think that he said, I don't talk to recruits.
Yeah.
Um,
It just seems
I think there's
odd.
a little bit that kind of sounds like when David Robinson never gave Shaquille O'Neal an autograph that he asked for, which is a complete fabrication that Shaq has later admitted was a complete fabrication, a story that he told himself so he would play harder against David Robinson. So
Yeah.
who's to say with these guys? You just really never
Mhm.
know. So John Wall likely won't be getting traded to the Sixers, but we can't leave this show without at least setting you guys up for these trade rumors. So
Yeah.
I've got some tweets. We've got a list. We'll go through some of them quickly because there's not a lot to say yet. But
Mhm.
James, I'll start here with Mike Conley,
Yep.
the
Which
Timberwolves and Clippers. Go ahead.
we talked about this, him being traded before the season. We talked about this a lot this year. Clippers would be
Yes.
an interest. I don't want to see him go to the Timberwolves. I don't want to see him go to that franchise and not go to the playoffs and not have a shot. Like
Yep.
I would, him going to the Clippers would be a lot of fun. I'd
I
love
kind
to
of
see
love
that.
the Clippers. Yeah,
Yeah.
they need it right now. Terrence Mann
Yep.
has played well filling in. He brings a lot of energy. It was very fortunate that they've played him in that role previously over the last couple of years. So he's not a complete fish out of water. He's size wise, he's not what you think of when you think point guard too. So that helps like defensively.
Mhm.
Terrence Mann will be a great addition. But yeah, if you can get a guy like Conley and it's only going to cost you maybe Reggie Jackson and I don't know what kind of compensation they're going
Yeah.
to want in
Who knows
return.
what they're gonna want? Yeah.
But that is I love that. Mike Conley in a Clippers uniform has me really rooting for them. Yeah, I want, like you said, I don't want to see Mike Conley playing in a
Yeah.
meaningless
I don't want his
situation here.
twilight years not to matter. I'd love to
He
have him
deserves to
be.
be playing important
He
basketball.
has
Yeah.
absolutely earned the opportunity to play somewhere good.
Yeah, agreed with that 100%. And we'll see if any other options for him come up. Now, this guy that we've been watching, we mentioned him earlier, Cam Reddish, the price continues to plummet. I think at
Yeah.
one time it was first round compensation.
He's not been in the rotation. He's not playing. It's fallen all the way to a second. I think we're both in
Good
agreement.
job, Tom.
He's going somewhere.
Yes. And
Lakers
again,
are a primetime candidate on that one.
yeah, Lakers, Mavericks, and the Bucks, which I found to be very interesting as well.
The Bucks, yeah, that'd be interesting.
Because they might not have enough room for him in their rotation once they
Yeah,
get everybody back.
that's interesting. Yeah, Bucks are an interesting one.
Seems like that's not necessarily filling in a permanent need for them, but they know more than we do. So maybe I speculation here, okay? But maybe this interest signals to me that things really are bad with the Chris Middleton situation. Maybe
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? Like, yeah.
maybe they aren't very confident that they're going to have him full time, or more so that they just think because of these injuries that window of his career has significantly gotten shorter, and so let's reload. But because you just also have Joe Ingles,
Yep.
like they have some guys out there on the wing, so I don't understand it from their perspective. The Mavericks make sense; they need to do something, and
Yeah.
Reddish could have the opportunity. Lakers, I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
rinse and
Yeah.
repeat everything I just said about Dallas. They need to try something. So, and they don't have they have even less to offer someone than Dallas does. So, of course, they're in the running. Gary Trent, we've talked about. No real contenders in my head as of right now. Does
With
anybody
the
pop out for
contract
you?
he wants, I wouldn't want him.
I'm thinking this could be an absolute half season rental. And I don't say that
Yeah.
about many of our other trade candidates here, James, but because of what you've said, that price tag, I think the only team that trades for Gary Trent is a team that genuinely thinks they're going to make a finals run, and they're going to trade maybe a second rounder and another young prospect that maybe somebody that's in their G League system or something. I don't see you getting a big haul for Gary Trent because I don't believe the team that trades for him is going to either A, believe that they can re-sign him, or B, even be willing to, because they can just get someone else in the offseason. For what Gary Trent does, I am certain if you're a playoff caliber team and you only need that as from a rotation player, you can get what Gary Trent brings if you're willing to sign someone who's older and isn't going to and sign him on a 1 or 2 year deal instead of giving Gary Trent lots of money. You might get fewer points per game or something, but like the value discrepancy, you'll be getting your money's worth if you pay someone else $8 or $9 million to go get you 12 points a game or whatever, than to have Gary Trent scoring 16 points a game at 25 million. Is my opinion on that. But
I agree.
So let's see. We'll skip on past him. They're our friends. We talked about D'Lo. We don't really need to dive deeper into him. So before we talk about that, I will hide our next topic. We've got a couple more guys on this list. We'll just run through them quickly. We'll skip over Og because we talked about it. So you guys check that back out. So Jakob Poetl, we can touch on that quickly because we talked about him briefly. But Cam Reddish 2.0, right? This price is going to drop, right?
Yeah, they want 2 firsts. The Spurs want 2 firsts for Jakob Poetl. Like, get out of here, man. That's insanity.
I tell you what, after this show, I am going to be doing a deep dive because there's something I don't know.
I've
been missing something, so not watching enough Spurs games because I don't understand that.
What are we missing? I'm going to pull up the stats. I don't have them up.
I'm trying to think who else would pull 2 first rounders on their own. And I
gotta be good. Like you gotta be good to do that.
And now, is there do they go with like a 2026 or like go with 2027, 2029 draft picks that they trade? And like
he's averaging 12.3 points a game, 9.4 rebounds per game. That's weird.
What? Hey, I mean, you never know until you try, right? I'm a firm believer in this. I say a lot. I won't be the one to tell me no, right? If I want something in life, I'll go after it. If I want a promotion, I'll ask. If I want to trade, I'll make the offer. You can tell me no, fine, but at least I won't talk myself out of it, right? Maybe that's all they're doing here is saying, hey, no one's probably going to bite on this, but if we start too low, we might risk out on cashing in. So you start with the ridiculous 2 first rounder offer and you see what the first counter is and see. That's my opinion on this. I don't think they genuinely believe they're getting 2 first rounders. I think they're hoping to get 1, and that's why they're asking for 2. I think this is a Amazon sale situation where they just pretend that the price is this, but it's actually marked down from the start.
Yeah, man. He's a non-traditional. He's your old school big. He doesn't shoot threes. He shot 3 in his career. He's 2 for 3 in his career. Yeah, like he's shooting 58% from the free throw line. He's 63% from the field, which is good. 12.3 points per game, 9.4 rebounds per game, 17th in the league. That's pretty solid. But no,
maybe
no.
Okay, I have a new idea. Maybe Pop loves this guy so much. Like this is when. If you've ever had someone, conversely, if there's ever been someone's ever offered me a promotion I really don't want, I'll be like, yeah, double my salary, and then they're like, okay, no, go away. You know what I mean? Maybe it's one of those. Yeah. Maybe it's like, fine. Yep. Yeah. Poetl's on the market. Yeah. 2 first rounders. Yeah. Call me when you want to send me 2 first rounders for him. Maybe it's one of those where it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm not saying he's untouchable. He's just, I'm just asking for an unreasonable return. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I will be shocked if we see him move, especially for that price. So the last 2 that I have here, and I'm linking them together because, well, they've been rumored together. So Myles Turner, as we know, is for the 8th year in a row trade rumor, but John Collins has been rumored in Atlanta to be on the move, and the Pacers are a frequent frequently named suitor for them. Now, I don't know, again, and that could just be all rumor and innuendo, but your dealer's choice. You can talk about these guys, whatever order you'd like, James, but also I want to throw out there if maybe there's a possible swap involving a 3-team trade here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the market for Myles is going to be. You got to get him to sign. That's a problem. The Heat are looking for a forward too. John Collins' name has came up there. You've got Jay Crowder still with Phoenix, who is still not gone anywhere. There's going to be things happen. The question is how big and wild it gets. There's only been one trade all this season. There's only been one so far this season. So something's going to happen. It's just, what is it? And is it going to be a ton,
It could be wild. And yeah, the Myles thing is very weird. It's difficult because stat-wise, he might not blow you away, but you see the difference in the Pacers team stats when he plays versus when he doesn't this year, and his impact is unquestioned. I mean, the only other player having a bigger impact clearly is Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is that defensive presence. And now the thing that is unfortunate for Myles or for teams like the Lakers that are interested in him is his 3-point shot has gone from kind of decent to bad. He's regressed from 3, which was always something that even coming out of college was like, okay, he has some range. And we thought you thought he would develop a better shot over time. And that has not happened. So it's an interesting, he's better than Poetl, in my opinion. He's at multiple times led the NBA in blocks, so you do have that for you.
Yeah,
but
definitely better than him.
He's kind of like a fancy, like a upgrade, just rotation player at times. Like I love Myles Turner, I really do, but like this is not an all-star, so I don't know what the return is for him. But I know that Pacers fans have wanted a first round pick return.
Yeah.
And now I think if they're asking for 2 for Poetl, the Pacers had better be asking for at least 1 for Myles. That's all I gotta say. But I honestly I don't want John Collins in Indiana, but I wouldn't. I depending on the pieces. Here's the thing that Indiana is very good at. They have a track record of taking players from a team where it hasn't worked, giving them a second chance, and it working. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times the Pacers are repaid by those players by saying, thanks for the run. I'm going to go get paid by this other sucker. And then they don't pan out, Lance Stevenson, TJ Warren. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, even to some extent, Oladipo, even though that was a trade, but there are a lot of guys that come here weren't, right now, currently Aaron Naismith, Jalen Smith, you've got guys, they send these guys over. They didn't quite work. And then in Indiana, you get an opportunity. Sometimes that's all it is the opportunity. Look at, how careers change. Look at how Tracy McGrady's career changed by not playing next to Vince Carter. He was always good. He just needed the ball more. So yeah, it's very interesting. We'll keep an eye on it. That wrap. And were there any other any other trade rumors you wanted to touch before?
Other than Anthony Simons is pretty much off limits is the only other thing I saw. That's all I've got. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
So before we quick dive into the weekend preview, the last topic we had for today was Draymond Green, the Hall of Famer. He said, and I think I hope I'll be in the Hall of Fame, but my route won't be the typical route. You won't go and look at my stats and say, this guy's a surefire Hall of Famer. But if you know the game, then I think I have a case, which I think is kind of a sneaky thing to say. But I'll hold my opinion because I'm not a Draymond stan. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's sneaky, but I also think it's right, man.
Fair. I should clarify. I'm glad that you said that because although I think it's sneaky, I don't think that he's wrong. Yeah. But I cannot stand. We talk about some of the negativities in hoop culture.
Oh
today.
Yeah, he's awful. He's awful, man.
He's awful. Part of the worst parts of Twitter culture is calling someone a casual, or when you don't agree with their take, you just say you don't watch games, or you don't know ball. So for Draymond to say something like that, what it does is it infers that if you don't believe that 8 points and 8 rebounds a game is Hall of Fame worthy, that you don't know basketball. And I don't think that that's fair, just as it's not fair to do what I just did and just spit stats. That's why I did it. It's not fair for me to just spit stats at you and say you're a scrub, you're not a Hall of Famer, just like it's not fair for you to say, oh, if you know the game, then you know I'm a Hall of Famer. No, speak on it. Let me hear it. You
Yep.
can't just say, "Oh, I passed the eye test." Excuse me.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah.
No.
He doesn't. His stats don't pass the eye test, but he's the defensive anchor, the emotional leader for. They've won 4 titles. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's won 4 titles. I mean, he's defensive player of the year. He's got a case, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually agree. I agree with what you're saying too.
I'd like his case more if he hadn't been sneaky about it, but he still has a good case.
He's got a case, because you're right. You're going to look at these stats. He's never averaged over 14 a game. He did average 8.9 assists a game once. That's pretty wild. That was 2 years ago. Rebounds, he's early in his career averaged 9.5. It's career average around.
And it's a lot of minutes a game too, right? Like it's not.
Yeah.
Because I'll devil's advocate here.
He's playing some minutes. Yeah.
Is Robert Horry in the Hall of Fame? You know what I'm saying? To some extent, the 4 titles don't mean as much because you can't control where you were drafted. You can't control what the front office does, right? It is unfair to me that we live in a world where Draymond Green has 4 NBA championships and Charles Barkley and Reggie Miller have 0. So it's but at the same time, I can't say that they mean nothing, right? You talked about, the point of the game is to win the championship. Yep. So they can't mean nothing. But I can't wait for these debates when the career is over because
they're good ones.
It's harder to make them while they're still playing. But
I mean, it's not over yet. They could find another way to get one. It's not over yet. He's 32. He's getting there. He's probably got a couple more years left in him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not much more than a couple more. But yeah, he's not done yet.
I want to pull up his career accolades real quick before we move on.
Yeah, no problem. While you do that, I will just show the stream. They can get a little look on Bronny's highlights here. Throw that up on the screen while you do your research here. Wow, playing on a packed house like that. I saw a funny tweet, comment. Someone said, watching LeBron's son play basketball just further proves how bad of a dad Michael Jordan was. I don't agree with that. It was just a very funny joke. All right.
That is funny.
It's just interesting. When I thought back on that, I was like, yeah, Michael Jordan's kids. I think he had one kid play at Illinois or something, which is nothing to sneeze at, right? It's a Big Ten program, but yeah, they
4-time All-Star, 2016-17 Defensive Player of the Year. He's been All-League 9 times, 4 championships. That's it. I mean, I thought he had more Defensive Player of the Year awards.
He's always been mentioned in it, but I don't think he's won the award very often. And so, it's tough, man. It's tough because, I don't know.
Basketball Reference has this Hall of Fame probability. I've never seen this. I never scrolled down this far to see it. They have a Hall of Fame probability, 76.8%. That's pretty high.
Okay. And that's neat. God, as if I need an excuse to spend more time.
Yeah, if you go all the way down to the bottom, if you go all the way down to the bottom, you can get into it. That's pretty fun.
Oh, I love that site.
I'll have to dig into that and see what that is. That's interesting.
Well, let us know, folks, before we move into our preview. We would love to hear from you if you think Draymond Green would be a Hall of Famer, and let us know. I know we're wrapping up here soon, but if you leave it, hey, if you're not watching us live, leave a comment. We do look. We will comb through these. If you ask us a good question, we'll bring it up and we'll talk about it next week. So let us know if you have a good case for why or why not Draymond Green should be in the Hall of Fame. We would love to hear it. And you don't have to, just feel free to send it directly to me on Twitter if you want. I don't care. I just want to hear from you. We want your takes. So, James, are we ready for the weekend?
Drum roll, please.
Bang, bang. I got to get Friday pulled up. But if you want to start, what's the first matchup that catches your eye for Friday?
Golden State at Cleveland. Golden State coming off an overtime loss to Boston tonight, gets to turn around tomorrow and go to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Let us go. I like that. Who you got in that one?
I'm taking Cleveland at home. Golden State can't win on the road. They proved this night. Even when they get close, they can't win.
Can't do it. Not going to do it. Yeah, Cleveland at home. I'll take it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take that. And here we go. It is finally caught up to me. New York at Atlanta. I like that one. That's one
Mhm.
I would. Oh man, there's a lot. It's Miami at Dallas at
Miami at
7:30. There's
Dallas
a
is a good
lot.
ESPN game. That's a good ESPN game. That's fun.
Might be multi-screen in this one. All right. Ooh. Yeah, Miami at Dallas will be fun. I like Miami on the road, to be honest. I'm
They're
worried
playing
about
well right now.
Dallas.
They're playing well right now.
And
You
then
got
let's
your
see.
boys, your boys. I wish Halliburton
Oh
was playing.
God,
It
I don't want to.
kills it. Pacers at
Oh,
Denver's going to win, but it's fun.
destroy them. Now,
Yeah,
Brooklyn, I think, winnable game at Utah.
yeah.
I'm going
Hmm.
to take Brooklyn because Utah, they're just an enigma. They are just 500. Like they are just an average team now. I think
Hmm.
they've kind of settled into that. Marketing does some amazing things. So that's the thing about Utah. You can't let them hang around because if
No.
they're in striking distance, it's anybody's game, and they've
Yep.
proven even in some of their losses, which we've seen on this show, Markkinen hit that ridiculous
Yep.
back
Hmm.
footing floater. Even when they lose, they look like they could win. So
Yep.
Memphis at LA at
Yep.
10
That's fun.
o'clock.
Memphis is going to win, but it's still fun.
Yeah, exciting to see. We hope that LA can put on put forth a fight at least, and then Sacramento hosting OKC.
Yep.
In 2
Young,
years, this
fast
might be a
guards.
playoff matchup,
Yeah,
man.
2 years. We'll get 2 years. It's really fun. Right now, it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, Kings should. Now, this will be a good test, right? Because this is an OKC team that has beaten teams it shouldn't beat this year,
Hmm.
to their detriment, in my opinion. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
might be
absolutely.
good for their player psyche for the future, but for their draft stock, it's no good. But so Sacramento, if they want to be the team that they need to be and prove that they have taken that next
Gotta
step,
win it. Light the beam.
these to me are must wins. Not as much like a game against Golden State or a game against New Orleans or one of these top
Hmm.
teams. That's not a must win for me
Nope.
right now for the Kings to prove that they are who they need to be. You can lose those games. You can't lose these
Yep.
if you're going to be a
Hmm.
real playoff team. So we will learn a little bit about Sacramento, I think, on Friday. So Saturday, what is your game of the night here, James? I know which one.
My game of the night is Milwaukee at Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland back to back. They are
Yep.
time television, folks.
Yep. I love that game. That is a top of the Eastern Conference battle. That's fun. A lot of fun there.
Cleveland pulled the upset at home. You like it? You like it that
I
much?
do.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's been goofy. I like Cleveland at home. Milwaukee's been weird, and I'm down on them because I watched them play in person. They were awful. So I'm just gonna hold that grudge for a while.
I want to keep an eye on Giannis too, because as we mentioned, looking at the stats, it's not necessarily a bad day just because Drew Holiday scored 37 points, but it's
Hmm.
weird when you have a couple of nights in the week when Giannis is not the leading scorer in Milwaukee. So I want to dig
Yep.
into the tape and see what's going on, but
Yep.
I'm I'm confident with them in the long term, but they do seem to be in kind of a funk right now. So give me
Hmm.
Cleveland, although Cleveland could be just the matchup to bring out the best in Milwaukee. So we'll see. Very fun game. I wish that was on TV. What is
Yeah.
up, NBA? There's
Nothing.
no Saturday games
No
on TV.
Saturdays games
You're
on
gonna make me
TV,
go out and
man.
socialize or something. Philadelphia at Sacramento. I
It's a good
love
one. That's a good
that
one
game.
too. That is a good one too.
Absolutely. Wow. When I think about some Sabonis versus Embiid,
That's a
and
fun one.
then, Fox is going to be a handful for Philly to deal with. So, yeah. Who do you got in this one? This one's a tough call.
Ooh, kind of put me on the spot. I'm going to go Sacramento at home. I like the home team there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that's a fun one.
It is. Might stay up late and watch that game. And Indiana Phoenix, the one game the Pacers might have a chance to win.
They'll have a shot.
Tyrese-less streak. I will say Boston at Toronto. I am intrigued, as you guys know, because I've been hyping up Toronto a little bit tonight. I'm intrigued to see how they'll play. This is a home game, so they have a chance, I think. But I really think their depth is going to be where Boston outlasts them. But this is one of those games, James, where if Toronto wins this one, they might start changing their mind about who they are
You're absolutely right.
as it
Yes.
pertains to the trade deadline. All right, Charlotte at Atlanta. Not going to talk about it. So Sunday, light work on Sunday. Honestly, James, I like that 2:30 game.
Yeah,
But
the
what are you
2:30 game's
looking at?
fun. Yeah, LA, Dallas, the Clippers, Dallas is fun right out the gate. New Orleans, Miami, an hour later is good.
New York at Toronto again. Okay.
Yeah, New York. Yeah, Memphis had the Memphis Phoenix game had star power. It doesn't
Yep.
anymore. OKC at Denver is fun. It's just the young OKC team going against the top dogs. Golden State Brooklyn lost a little bit of luster. That is the only game on TVs without KD.
Yeah, that would have been fun just for that,
Yeah.
but no.
Oh, yeah.
Not so lucky. And I like Portland, LA too, just because
star power.
They're star power, and I'm going to pull up the standings actually as well because I
think they're right next to each other.
These guys are jockeying for position a little bit here. This will have some implications. I don't know that either of these teams is going to make a serious run, but yeah, the Trailblazers, and look at that. See what I was saying about Oklahoma? Like,
they're there. They're in it.
What are you doing, boys? Stop it. Stop it. Oklahoma, Indiana, I love you, but what are you doing? So yeah, the Lakers versus Trailblazers, that I think is a fun game, but it has the potential. Like the Blazers could run the Lakers out the gym. They have the ability to do that. I don't think they will, but they have the offensive potential. Whereas where the Lakers are right now, shorthanded, I don't know that the Lakers have that ability to keep pace.
Yeah.
Portland has better shooters. And they have some freak athletes running up and down the court. So I am hoping to see like a chase down. Let's see LeBron try to contest a lob that goes up to Shaedon Sharpe. Let's see some of that. But give me Portland for the weekend nightcap. How do you see the weekend ending, James?
Same way. I like Portland there.
Portland.
No arguments, bud. No arguments.
All right. Well, that ought to do it. Wow. I'm going to say thank you first to the fans for listening to us, but also thank you, James. It's almost 2 hours, man. I appreciate you listening.
I know. Well, if we'd have kept going about 10 more minutes, you can find me like this. Just out cold.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Hey, but
we made it.
We had a lot to talk about.
There was a lot, man, and there's gonna be a lot of trade coverage here coming the next couple of weeks with the deadline looming February 9th. That's gonna be one of our big things here moving forward.
Big time. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you will be notified when we go live. We are filling up the weekly schedule with shows here on Stadium Rant. So we had Necessary Roughness ahead of us tonight on Thursday. They're usually on Tuesdays. Help me out, James. What else we got on the Stadium Rant Network? We got the Gritty Gamblers.
Yep. You got Another Damn Fantasy Podcast. Trev's one on Wednesdays, which I don't think he had it this week. I think it was canceled this week. But yeah. So a lot of things going on over there.
Yeah, so check it out. We got about to have a show a day over there. So, and then in the meantime, of course, leave us a comment, reach out to us on Twitter, on Instagram if you want. I don't know. All my stuff is the same. I don't know about James, but Kev Nevick _ you can find me. Yep. Twitter's probably the place to go, to be honest, if you want to.
That's where we're at, man. That's where we're at.
That's where we're at, collecting all of this basketball goodness. So, yes. Trade deadlines coming up. Do your homework. We'll be ready to get you prepped for it next week. And then the week after, whatever, we're going to talk to the bosses and see if maybe we can't do
there may be an emergency.
Trade dedeadline special. I don't know. I can't make promises. I don't have that kind of authority, guys, but we will try.
We'll see. We got to talk to the big dogs.
And until then, thank you so much again for watching. We appreciate you.